Artificial intelligence has become the invisible plumbing of our routines. It runs quietly in the background, processing schedules, filtering communications, and managing global infrastructure. In India, the government's Bhashini platform processes 15 million language inferences every single day, handling dozens of complex dialects with sub-second response times. And in North Texas, private schools are now charging $50,000 a year in tuition to sit students in front of AI algorithms rather than human educators. Because the technology functions so smoothly, we have stopped questioning how it works. That frictionless utility masks a serious vulnerability across our public and private sectors. Look closely at the data on corporate readiness. 92% of companies are pouring money into these systems, but according to McKinsey research, only 1% actually consider themselves fully prepared to govern them. That gap between spending and readiness is playing out in the courts. Employees are blindly feeding sensitive data into public models, while developers face massive copyright lawsuits from publishers over the scraping of training data. At the same time, the university programs tasked with training our next generation of teachers are largely ignoring the shift, focusing heavily on student cheating rather than adapting their pedagogy. We are aggressively pushing a highly complex tool into our most vital institutions, long before we actually understand the mechanisms driving its output. Cognitive scientists have a term for this specific blind spot. They call it performative intelligence. The systems we interact with do not possess consciousness or lived experience. They operate entirely on probabilistic token prediction, calculating the mathematically likeliest next word. But because that output perfectly mimics human language, it tricks our brains. We assume conversational fluency requires actual comprehension. Syntactic fluency is not semantic understanding. The machine is simulating the behavior of a thinking agent. It performs intelligence without experiencing or comprehending a single word. This leads directly to epistemic overtrust. When an automated system sounds confident, humans naturally begin delegating complex tasks to it, treating a predictive text generator like an experienced colleague. Inside major organizations, this overtrust is quietly breaking internal operations. Automated agents are allowed to execute tasks at massive scale, corrupting workflows because they cannot recognize when their own context is flawed. The courts are already dealing with the fallout under a new legal category, agentic AI liability. When an autonomous bot hallucinates a detail and executes a highly disadvantageous contract, the organization that deployed it absorbs the financial damage. You see the exact same pattern in education. Tech utopians lock students in rooms with algorithms, assuming the technology can fully replace a teacher's intuition, while legacy institutions try to ban the tools entirely. Both approaches fail for the same reason. They mistake a statistical instrument for an independent mind, exposing their organizations to catastrophic errors. The period of consequence-free experimentation ended in 2026. We are now operating under strict legal boundaries. The European Union's AI Act is in its implementation phase. Providers must now comply with hard rules regarding training data transparency and copyright safeguards. In the United States, individual states are stepping into the federal vacuum. Legislatures in places like Texas and Colorado have enacted frameworks that require extensive algorithmic impact assessments and outright ban specific harmful applications. The legal system is actively shifting liability back to human operators. If you deploy an automated model, you have to prove you are actively managing it. Navigating this environment requires a specific, necessary skill set: critical AI literacy. This means rigorously auditing third-party tools for bias, independently verifying generated claims, and ensuring a human operator always maintains the final say in high-stakes decisions. When governed carefully, these tools are highly capable instruments. They can process archives of data and accelerate production timelines at speeds impossible to achieve manually. We can rely on these systems to perform tasks, synthesize data, and draft code. But the responsibility for meaning, judgment, and accountability belongs entirely to us.